Peter, thanks for the opportunity to stand with you this evening. It is good to be home. I was born in Riverdale, Georgia, about 10 miles south of where you're sitting tonight. And I grew up in Fayette County, Georgia, on a dairy farm. And after I graduated from high school in 1970, I went off to the Air Force Academy with the goal of seeing the world. Now here I'm back. And I bring good tidings from the Middle East, and I bring along 200 outstanding leaders of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. For the past 2.5 years, Janet and I have had the great honor and privilege to represent our country in the kingdom. It has been the experience of a lifetime. And for those of you who are considering business opportunities in the kingdom, you will find the Saudis to be among the most warm, the most generous, and the most hospitable people on the planet. Tonight I want to focus my comments in 3 areas. First, I want to talk to you about what we in the embassy and 2 consulates are doing to support you and your business activities. Second, I want to give a little different twist, different view on what's going on in the region. And then I want to close by talking about who are these Saudis. First of all, the business relationship is extremely important to Mission Saudi Arabia. Let me describe what we are doing to enhance the bilateral relationship and improve the business climate between our 2 countries. And first, let me start with visas. The consulates in Jeddah and Dhahran and the embassy continue to open doors to qualified travelers. We have improved our level of service while handling a rapidly growing number of travelers. In the fiscal year that just ended, we saw a record number applying for visas, over 121,000 applicants. This is a 32% increase from 2010. It represents a 128% increase since fiscal year 2008. And by comparison, until 2008, our peak year was 75,000 in the fiscal year 2001. So we've got an increase of over 50,000. And I would tell you that Saudi Arabia has the highest rate of acceptance of visa applicants of any country in the world. Even more remarkably, we have handled this increasing workload with the same facilities we've had in the past and essentially the same staffing levels, employing Lean and Six Sigma initiatives to improve our processes. We've reduced the average waiting time for visa appointments in Riyadh and Dhahran from 90 days in 2009 to less than 2 weeks today. And to tell you the truth, the visa problem, at least on our end, is old news. What I do ask is that you continue to remind your business community to plan ahead. And if you start the visa process 60 days ahead of traveling, you stand a 97% chance of having a visa in hand when you travel. But more generally, let me tell you about how the embassy supports the business community. Our econ section focuses on policy initiatives between our government and the Saudi government. It is working to expand partnership with Saudi institutions focused on research, training in science and technology, with a particular focus on the energy sector. We support Saudi efforts to develop renewable energy sources, wind, solar, and nuclear. We've also provided training to modernize the Saudi justice system and to improve their commercial legal capability. You should know that Saudi Arabia has made remarkable progress in protecting intellectual property rights. And we also work closely with the Saudi Arabian Standards Organization and the Saudi Food and Drug Authority on issues of concern to U.S. companies. And finally, we're particularly active in promoting Saudi's G20 objectives. And these include the combating of corruption, controlling subsidies, and ensuring food security, targeting both the elimination of barriers to U.S. products as well as the healthy growth of the Saudi economy that will help ensure continued peace and stability in the region. Our focus on agriculture has been a great success. We have solved several key trade policy restrictions, and these have allowed us to increase our exports of wheat, beef, seed potatoes, and other commodities. Our ag exports rose 29% in 2010. And according to USDA statistics for January through July of 2011, U.S. total agricultural exports to the kingdom reached $821 million. That is an increase of 59% compared to the same period in 2010. Yes, I said 59%. Now, the anchor of our business effort is the Foreign Commercial Service Office. And Amir Kayani and his folks have simply been your champions to promote U.S. business and industry. They assisted more than 1,000 U.S. companies in FY11, and this resulted in nearly 200 contracts worth almost $1 billion. Last fiscal year, we can report that 102 U.S. companies exported to Saudi Arabia for the very first time, and over the last 2 years, 230 companies have exported to Saudi Arabia for the first time, and fully 70% of those are small to medium enterprises. Rest assured, the U.S.-Saudi relationship is solid, and you can see the many successes in business, trade, education, and medicine. Now, I do not intend to deliver a political talk this evening, but many of you business people wonder about the events of the last year. Make no mistake, we have had a front row seat to some of the most phenomenal change in the region, perhaps in history. And like Abdullah, I'm not sure that the term Arab Spring correctly characterizes the events of the last year, but I would offer a couple of brief observations. First, Saudi Arabia is stable. Its economy continues to grow amidst the turmoil and crisis that have impacted other countries in the region. Like everywhere else in the region, the younger generation has the most to gain or to lose. In Saudi Arabia, 60% of the population is 25 years or younger. But without detailing the specifics of each country, it is my observation that whole populations of people are seeking out dignity. They are demanding that their governments be more responsive to their needs, and they are demanding that their governments are transparent and accountable in the process. Where governments have been responsive, there is stability. Where there has been a disconnect between the government and its people, there has been crisis. The Saudi government, under King Abdullah, has demonstrated a keen willingness to be responsive on the key issues facing Saudis. These include jobs, housing, corruption, the development of civil society, as well as the security apparatus. And there's still much work to be done, and many of these challenges will require long-term solutions. But people want their governments to care about them. They want their governments to be responsive. And King Abdullah's focus on growing and diversifying the Saudi economy is part of the evidence of the government's responsiveness, and it contributes immeasurably to the kingdom's stability. Stability does not come from bumper stickers, nor does it come from repression. It comes from real people working together to make their country better. And in this room this evening, you're going to find an assortment of the kind of people that are bringing King Abdullah's vision of the future to a reality. And first, my dear friend, Abdullah Zainal Ali Reza. If I could get a hand, okay. Minister Ali Reza, the Minister of Commerce, because he is so diligently focused on transforming the Saudi economy under the umbrella of a knowledge-based economy. And his mission is to create the 3 million jobs that Saudi Arabia will need in the workforce over the next 10 years. I would also acknowledge Prince Faisal bin Abdullah, who was singled out earlier, the Minister of Education, because it's been his task to transform the Saudi education system to make its graduates competitive in a global economy. Now, for you Americans who have ever tried to introduce an idea at a PTA meeting, imagine what it is like to try to bring a change across an entire country and its education system. And that is what Prince Faisal has done. In my opinion, he has the hardest job in Saudi Arabia, and I am his biggest cheerleader. I believe that the international community owes a great debt of gratitude to two people, Dr. Mohammed Al-Jasser, and I don't see Dr. Jasser, I know he's here, who is the governor of the SAMA, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Agency, because he is behind the discipline in the monetary policy for Saudi Arabia. Likewise, Finance Minister Asaf has given Saudi Arabia a conservative and disciplined fiscal policy. Not only do they serve the kingdom well, but they have shown Saudi Arabia to be an island of stability in the rough seas of the international economic uncertainty. Dr. Abdullah Rabia has led a total revamp of the medical system in Saudi Arabia. As Minister of Health, he has reached out to the best and the brightest around the world, and it has been a real pleasure to see American talent welcomed into the kingdom. There are business partners here as well. Dr. Abdullah Dabah, the former president and CEO of Ma'aden Mining, was the brains behind transforming mining and materials in Saudi Arabia. His company is teamed with Alcoa Aluminum, I think represented here by Ken Wisnowski, I think is here this evening, on one of the most important joint ventures in the kingdom. And as we look to Saudi Arabia's future, no one has a more daunting task than Dr. Hashim Yamani, who's the president of KCARE, the King Abdullah City for Nuclear and Renewable Energy. His task is to look to the future, to define the renewable energy strategy and make the key decision on where Saudi Arabia goes with renewable. And I would also commend one of our own, Deputy Secretary Dan Poneman of the Energy Department, one of our most gifted public servants in our government, for bringing the vast resources in the United States to support Dr. Yamani's efforts. It would be impossible for me to describe the dynamics inside the kingdom without addressing the positive impacts of women in Saudi Arabia. Now, earlier I mentioned Prince Faisal bin Abdullah, his magnificent work in education, but I would offer that there's someone in his household that is at least as influential as he is. His wife, Princess Adela, very quietly but with great determination, supports the National Family Safety Centers, which are a series of domestic abuse centers in Saudi Arabia. Princess Adela is the sponsor of the Khadija Center, a magnificent group of women in Jeddah. They focus on women's empowerment, women entrepreneurship in an Islamic tradition. She's a role model for countless Saudi women, and it's fair to say that she is an inspiration to Janet and me and many others as well. Early on the first day, some of you heard Rami al-Turki. Rami, are you out there? Sorry, ladies, he's off the market. He just recently got married. And you heard his wonderful presentation, but you probably don't know his mother, Sally al-Turki, an American woman who fell in love with and married a distinguished Saudi named Khalid al-Turki. In her time in Saudi Arabia, she's created and now runs one of the most impressive private schools in the country. You heard Lubna Alian this morning. She's one of the most respected business leaders in the kingdom, male or female, and she has been at the forefront of women's education, training, empowerment, and employment. Tomorrow, you're going to hear from Dr. Selwa Al-Hazza. She's the head of ophthalmology at King Faisal Specialist Hospital. Dr. Selwa, are you with us this evening? Oh, there she is, okay. She's a national expert in ophthalmology. She was King Fahad's eye doctor, and most importantly, she represents a generation of women who have led the way in education, medicine, and business, and they are the pathfinders for a young, energetic, and passionate generation of daughters. 60% of the college students in Saudi Arabia are women, and they will be a force in the future of this country. I know she's a pathfinder because we know her daughter, 19-year-old Hala, a college student, who decided that she was going to organize the first Walk for the Cure breast cancer awareness event in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. She did the planning, she got all the permissions, she had some mother's advice along the way, but she and her fellow students did all the preparation work. And on Thanksgiving Day, November the 24th, something happened that I never thought would happen in the kingdom during my tenure. Almost 1,000 women showed up for a walk for breast cancer. They joined to support survivors of breast cancer and to support each other as sisters. They represent all that's good about an emerging generation of adults that want to be a part of building their country. Her work, their work, is truly courageous. So for those of you who want to know about Saudi Arabia, these people are Saudi Arabia. They are looking to the future. They are looking for partnerships that will allow their country to succeed. And in a closing note, let me add also that they are my friends. These are the kinds of people that Janet and I have come to know and admire these last 3 years, and it gives me great pleasure to bring them home with me. Thank you very much.